So we are being recorded, so think about that before you answer this question. How many people here are looking for a job? Great. How many people here are hiring? Okay, people looking for a job, turn around and look at people with their hands up. Come on, put them up, put them up. Who's hiring? All right. What's your job after this? Connect. All right. Great. So I'm Mira Wooten. I am a solutions manager with the 2H Group. I also wear another hat called Director of Recruiting. We have a contingent search service that we help clients find partners. So if you're looking, I think we have one job in the LA area. A lot of them are Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, Bay Area. So, but connect with me. I have my business cards up here, see me afterwards as well. I put this talk together because after a couple years of looking at product manager resumes and talking to product manager, hiring people, and I also have another hat that I wear, which is I'm a certified life coach and a team coach. And so when I start working with people on a recruiting basis, then we get into vision and dreams and life passions, and so my hats kind of go like this. And so you might hear a little bit of both of those hats as I walk through this presentation today. And I think I can put that button. Maybe that button. Oh, she told me. How about that button? Oh, that was a good hair day.
You always have good hair days.
So how would you rate your LinkedIn profile? On a scale, who would give themselves a 5 on their LinkedIn profile? We got, oh, I kind of got one. Try for me. So, why should you care about your LinkedIn profile?
Next opportunity.
Yeah. What else?
If you're working in sales, it's like the first thing people look at when you tell them about your product. They look you up first.
Right.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. And what I learned here today, it's replacing the business card. Make a good impression. So hopefully what we're going to give you today is sort of a formula for your LinkedIn success. Don't do it. Don't not have a profile. Does anybody here not? Well, I don't want to shame you. Sure I do. Does anybody here not have a LinkedIn profile?
I just got one 6 months ago.
You know, yeah. Oh, I went the wrong way. I kind of liken it to when I was growing up and people say, you know, if you put money in your 401k because it's going to grow. I feel the same way about LinkedIn connections. They really become more and more valuable as you go along. Okay, why you should care? Potential clients, coworkers want to check you out. I'm sorry, I forgot the clicker. Yeah, potential employees will check you out if you're looking for people. Certainly job leads and building relationships. Here's some numbers about LinkedIn. It's got 400 million users worldwide. This is really a bad setup, isn't it? 170 million in the US alone. 2 new users per second. And 40% of us log in daily. Okay, so tip number 1. Everybody have a profile picture? Yep. So your picture should, your face should fit like pretty evenly in the space that they give you. If you try to use one that you really liked that was a couple years ago, it's too small, it's not going to work. Sorry, Adrian. Another good hair day. So tip number 2, edit your profile heading. So LinkedIn picks up sort of your job title. And I really like using the heading to really talk about who you are. I'm a solutions manager. I'm a coach. I'm a, let's see. So here, here's some good headlines for product management. I mean, this tells me that you're targeting small businesses. What does this say? You're really into Agile, right? Who's got a headline that they like for product management? Let's try one out.
Guessing a lot of boring ones that says senior product manager.
Senior product manager. So you're a senior product manager. What do you do?
Let's see, I work on B2B software.
So you can say B2B.
Yeah. Although I have a lot of experience before that in different arenas.
I would have it target where you're going, where you are, where you're going, as opposed to where you've been, right? So, use this if you want to change industries, right? Passionate about healthcare. Maybe you've never even worked in healthcare, but you want to. You feel free to break the rules with your LinkedIn profile. So your summary page, you've got 2,000 characters, I believe, to describe yourself. It's kind of like your own elevator pitch. Use it to really focus on what do you want me to know about you? If I'm a recruiter, what do you want me to know about you? What's your elevator pitch? This is a great place to give me a background about who you are. Be sure to include your contact information. The call to action would be interested in connecting with hiring managers. Maybe if you got a job, you don't want to say that. But interested in healthcare. Interested in I've got somebody now who's wanting to change industries and go from semiconductor into wearable devices. And so we're really exploring where do those industries cross over, right? Really passionate about wearable devices. She doesn't have that in her experience, but you can let me know as a recruiter that you're interested in going someplace where you're not now, or a hiring manager. Does that make sense? Yeah.
If I remember on this section of LinkedIn, you only get like 200 characters that are visible, at which point you have to click show more.
Yeah.
So I've always thought, well, for most people, like if I look at people's browsing here, they're just going to scroll down to see the rest. They're not actually going to bother to read that. And I guess what you're saying is it's still worth investing time to do that.
You might put the most important things in that first paragraph. I mean, it's like any good book, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get me to read about in the first paragraph? You captured my attention. Yeah.
So if you're looking to pivot roles with a LinkedIn, I mean, I know it's, all these recruiters are using search algorithms and stuff within LinkedIn on the back end to pick up whatever certain terms. So is it inappropriate, let's say, to put like aspiring product manager or seeking employment as product manager? I mean, obviously there's finesse there if you currently work in an organization, you don't want people to know. But I'm just curious to know, would you ever sort of shift the focus of your LinkedIn profile to be what you're trying to get
Absolutely.
to versus
Absolutely.
what you already have?
Absolutely.
You think that's appropriate to do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And pull out what you're doing now that matches that profile, right? You could be managing people now and managing people in the new, right? You could, anything that crosses over.
As you go through the sections of the profile, can you tell us like what sections are, from a recruiter standpoint, SEO, like a search engine
Absolutely.
optimized, and what keywords
Yep.
you should have in what section?
Yep, we talked about that data. Any other questions as I go through?
Is this in the first person or third person?
I like first person.
Past or present? This would be present, the experience.
Present.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I am. Exactly. So, in your experience, here we just discussed this, focus on what you're taking forward, not so much of what you've done in the past. What are you taking forward that's applicable to this new position? What tasks did you do? What impact did you have? Numbers are really great here. And paint me a picture. So sometimes I'll get a resume that says I worked on a product. I don't really know what that means. You know, did you own the product? Attended trade shows? You're all here attending the show, right? What are you speaking? Are you, you know, what? Really paint me a picture of your involvement. Created it's almost like we call those SMART goals, you know, where they're measurable and they're, so think of SMART goals when you think of smart topics in your LinkedIn profile. And get specific. So responsible, like in product marketing especially, responsible for content. I've been a marketing manager and I outsourced the content. So I was responsible for it, but was I writing it? So I wrote the content as more specific. Back it up with active words. Everybody know what active words are? Managed, responsible for, accomplished.
How would you do that rote content more, you got the rote content is more specific, so how would you do that, back it up with active words and data in that context?
Wrote data sheets, created thought leadership pieces, blogged. Other people have other ideas?
Product marketing briefs,
Yeah.
product positioning.
It's really important in marketing because are you high level or can you really get down and write the content? Yeah. And at startups especially, you need to be able to do both.
Training materials.
Huh?
Wrote training materials.
Yes. Yeah. And did you also train the sales force? Yeah. Right. Create all those go-to-market pieces. Yeah. Give me a really good idea of how active you were in that role. Use data to support your facts. Reduce time to market. By how much? If you're managing people, how many? If you're managing P&Ls, how many? What other data do you like to put on your LinkedIn profile? Because you're helping each other out in this talk as well.
Well, with your training materials example, right? Like I wrote 12 user manuals for accountants, lawyers, and emergency room physicians over the course of 3. I mean, like as many numbers as specific and vivid as you can
Yeah.
make it.
Right? That's good data.
Competitive comparisons, that's a big one.
The amount of budget I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for the budget, I'm responsible for $5 million a year.
Right, and as a recruiter, I've had to find somebody who had P&L for 500 million. So nobody seems to have like that on their resume. You know, it's like they'll have P&L. So it was always a question I had to ask, like 10 million, 5 million.
Can I ask you, maybe this is just a philosophical question or something, but I feel like a lot of the things I've personally done I've been a really good team member, and my team stayed on top of this. And no, I don't want to grab credit for all of it. That's part of what I'm bringing to the table is I know how to work with a team, but I never know how to say that. It feels like everything I'm supposed to say is I single-handedly did all this and bossed people around, and that's why you should hire me.
And that's tricky because I've had people not get married.
I've had that
Is this something
too.
you want to
That's the next topic.
Yeah, that's during the drink hour.
I've had people not get hired because they were too eyed in their interview, right? And the team felt like they were going to be lost with this leader. So it is. Go ahead. You have a thought?
Yeah, can you just visualize one person with a team, core contributor of team that, whatever the goal is, or some middle member of group that, right? That you're one member of the team that contributed?
I like the word facilitated, and And I think you could talk about that in your summary. You know, nothing excites me more than being part of a team that's really rocking it and inspiring my team to really rock it. And, you know, the more they're rocking it, the less I have to be in the line. You know, you can talk about that in your summary, because I really hear that that's important to you, right? So that would be a good thing to pull out in your summary.
You're trying to call out, I think there's a balance between calling out leadership and saying I for everything. So I can do the training, I can do the competitive docs, I can do the SWOT analysis, but as a product manager, I'm a cross-functional team leader. So I think that's how you balance the saying, I did this, but I also led my team. Because you have to show
That's
leadership.
true. I guess what I was hearing is that you were leading a team of product managers as opposed to a product manager leading a cross-functional team.
I guess I'm asking a more general question about how to, you know, I go to one, I'm not blaming you, but I go to one talk where people tell me it's really about the team and don't try to take credit for other people's work. And then when you're applying for a job, you're supposed to, I'm being silly and I'm exaggerating, but it feels like you're pushed in the other direction about, you know, really focusing on what you did. And I'm not suggesting there's some easy solution to this, but.
Well, I think you have to read the room, whatever room you're talking to, right? If your team is interviewing you, you better talk about the team, right? I think management wants to know that they can count on you to be a leader. So how do you show up as a leader? What does leadership look like for you? And I would focus on that.
So I was in the same situation. I had some mock interviews with a friend, and he said to me, "So I have to hire the entire team?" So you got to make it what you did.
It is difficult, isn't it? I mean, I know that I've been parts of teams where 3x revenue, 10x, you know, you have to say those things. And I took credit for it. I know it was a team effort. But going into interview, I interviewed as we. Right? Part of it. And actually, I got dinged for it. Somebody said, "Why did you say I? What did you do?" When I kept saying it was part of the team. Well, my view is it is part of the team.
Well, and I think it's important to say that, you know, as a leader, what do you see your role is to have a rockin' team? You know, is it to take care of everything so they don't have to worry about it and they can go out and do their thing? Is it to support them? Is it to go to the executive team and have their back? You know, what does leadership look like to you? At the end of the day, you're going to want to be in an environment that sees leadership the way you see leadership, right? So don't try to dance to everybody else's answer. Show up where it's really real for you. Yeah?
I was once told in my university's career services that we should highlight more of actions that we take and results for the team, like what our actions brought results for the team.
Great
for
advice.
most of the questions.
I like that. Other thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just one data point. I know it's subjective, but as a hiring authority, I look for I. You know, if I hear too much we, then, you know, how is this person going to be able to run things autonomously and be a strong product manager? If I hear those we's, it's usually a red flag for me, but I can see both sides.
And to continue on what he was saying, I noticed that women tend to send we, while men tend to say I in the hiring process.
Interesting. And yet they had all the team sports growing up, right?
I didn't.
Who are the other hiring managers here? Yeah. What do you look for?
Well, I mean, for myself, I mean, you want somebody that's individually capable, but the real value comes in the teamwork. I mean, it comes in that. So somehow you have to weed through that, and you want to know if that person's really can do the work, but in reality, the real work and the real benefit comes from the team.
Yeah, I mean, there's always also the testimonials that are on LinkedIn or your references and things like that can also speak to your teamwork as well. So you're not kind of sabotaging the I part of it.
That's a great suggestion, which I don't really cover. Is if you feel like there's something missing in your LinkedIn profile, you might ask a reference to hit that for you. Like, a great way to ask for a reference is to write it and send it to them and said, hey, will you make these your words, but I really want something that talks to you. You know, you worked for me in the past. I'd really like to get your your recommendation for me as a leader. It's a great idea. Yeah.
How much weight do you guys put on like references? Like how many would you say you read? Like is it more important from a coworker standpoint, senior? Like how many do you tend to browse through before you just give up on the profile or move on?
As a recruiter, I tend to just look and see who do they know, and what they're saying about them and the level. In sales, usually we give 3 references. I think 3 on any. Maybe you have 3 for leadership and 3 for some other skill that you want to promote. But I don't know that recruiters would read them all. I think maybe hiring managers might. Anybody else have a thought on that? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. He wanted to know how many references you should have.
I think he meant on the LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. Yeah, on the LinkedIn. The referrals or the references, what do they call them? Recommendations, yeah. Anybody have thoughts on that? Okay, well, highlight your leadership. We're just talking about that. So if you are in a leadership role, again, data. How many people did you manage? If you led cross-functional teams for how many releases? Presented a 5-year roadmap to the board. That says something more than just I created a roadmap. Any thoughts? So, grow your network. How many of you belong to product management groups? Great. It's a great way to grow your network. Connect with colleagues and clients, fellow people, fellow companies. 280 Group has a great LinkedIn page. I think we have over 50,000 people in our LinkedIn group. It's a great place to connect with other product managers.
And PMALA is also another great group to join, so if you guys haven't already.
Here, here.
Yeah, PMA.LA or go to LinkedIn.
Anybody else got a plug?
I was going to ask that question.
What?
The one you got up there is so good. Literally, I was going to put my hand up and say,
Oh, whether or not size matters? Yeah. Oh. So if you have less than 100 connections, you're connected to about 5% of the LinkedIn community. If you have more than 500, you're connected to 95%. So this should be a goal. Let's start now, okay? I want you to connect with somebody here that you don't know. You now have 4? All right. You found a real networker, didn't you? You guys are great. Okay. My 10th want here is, there is a section on your LinkedIn profile that says share your interests. I really like this as a recruiter. I like to know. I've actually used this when I needed to find somebody for a job in Loveland, Colorado. I was like, well, maybe somebody who skis would want to go there, right? So this is stretching a little bit, but so share your interests. I think it rounds out who you are. You know, if you are raising money for homeless networks, or if you're a triathlon, or I think you can tell a lot about somebody with what goes on here. How many of you have certifications? Any certified product managers here? Or certifications? I'm a certified coach. Put your certifications in. If you've published any articles or patents, put those on there.
Question.
Yeah.
On the very first one.
Yeah.
I've been told that it's good to put an interest in your title as well. So I've done that with mine.
What's your title?
It's Solutions Manager and Race Car Driver.
Sweet.
And so that tells me you're really interested in automobiles and product management. Perfect. So you want to work for Tesla or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
With the number of connections, I understand that the more connections you have, the more maybe closely or widely linked in the system. But would you guys, would you ever recruiter try to figure out who I know, and then a mutual connection, then contact them to ask them about me? Is that happening often?
Oh, backdoor references?
Something like that? I guess what I'm asking is is it worth expanding your network even if you really don't know someone that well, or is it better, because initially LinkedIn sort of pushed people to only connect with people you had a significant connection with. So I'm just curious to know what you think about that.
So recruiters can pay now to see everybody, so you don't really need to have a big connection for them to find you. Right? You would want a larger connection if you're looking, if you're wanting to grow a business, or if you're wanting to grow your presence, if you're wanting to have some thought leadership on something and you're starting to post LinkedIn articles and you want people to see it, like it, share it, the larger your network, it's all social media now, right? So that would be reasons for jobs. Finding jobs, what's more important, and I'm sorry because I haven't touched on it yet really, your question about metadata. So you do want to include all the metadata that I'm going to be looking for as a recruiter. And that's, if you're doing healthcare, even if that hasn't been part of your experience and that's the direction you're going, make sure healthcare, ed tech. So somebody showed me one the other day they had fintech all over their LinkedIn profile, but they didn't have the word finance there. So you should have both. You don't know exactly what I'm going to be looking for, but there is a line, there's a summary line that you can add that can be just all of your SEO terms of all the things that you have a background in. So you don't have to clutter up your summary discussion with it. But it's like any SEO, the more you use the word product, the more product's going to show up. Some tips that I use, usually when I'm searching for someone, I'll look for the words looking or seeking as an easy way to find people who might be looking or interested in, and like this and that. Product managers who are looking for finance or enterprise software or SaaS or whatever keyword that I'm looking for. Yeah, back.
I had more of an etiquette question. So, say you apply to a job, what level of proactive communication is appropriate when trying to connect with HR representative or someone in that team that you're applying to? Is it okay to send invitations or email or?
So here's what I would propose. So first of all, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and under my profile, I don't know if you have to connect with me to see stuff I publish, but I published a lot of articles on finding your dream job, how to interview questions. This presentation, there's a lot of stuff. Thank you. On my LinkedIn profile on those topics. 10% of jobs are filled through you submitting a resume. So try not to take that tact. Use that for last. 55% is through an employee referral or a referral from someone. So the best thing to do is find an employee or someone who works there who can refer you. So that's who you want to be asking. Go for the informational interview, right? Try to find someone there who can introduce you to someone there. It's like, I'm really interested, because they will probably get a bonus if they hire you, right? So it's worth their time to submit your resume. It's in their best interest. Huh?
Yes, they get a bonus. Yeah.
So take that tact. If you completely strike out, ask me, I might know them, I don't know. But then you could send an email to the recruiter. It just depends on the company and how busy they are as to where you're going to float. Yeah. If you need visa sponsorship, include that in your messages. I think, don't make them wonder or ask. Include that information.
But isn't it super creepy to cold LinkedIn people?
No.
I think it's freaky. If there's a message, it's not, like if there's a legitimate message, it's not awkward, but if they do without a message, that's awkward.
Yeah, a lot of times without a message, or I'll go to a
If it's a recruiter or anybody.
If I'll go to a recruiter and I'll ask for talent, they'll send me some talent, and then somehow my name gets back to this talent, and then they are adding me before I even talk to them.
Sure.
And I feel like that's a little presumptuous. I don't know.
There's some feedback. I'm in sales and I'm single, so I accept all. Not
I was just gonna say, through my job search, I've been networking with people, and what I've noticed is that people in HR have deep contacts. So let's say I want to go work at Tesla. I look at this person, we'll say her name is Cindy. Cindy knows everybody, so at least I can go to Cindy and say, can you connect me with the HR person at Tesla?
Do you know Cindy?
That's an example. No, she's not a real person, but the point
No, I'm
is...
just saying, in that example though, if she doesn't know you.
No, I'm saying Cindy knows me. Cindy's in HR, she's part of my group.
Yeah.
And ironically, she knows tons of people at Tesla or Mattel.
Usually what I say is, do you know these people well enough to make an introduction? Yeah. Right. So, because a lot of times we do connect.
But you can see that on LinkedIn with the second connection, so you can see that Cindy knows people at Tesla.
Absolutely.
You mentioned informational interviews. How do we approach that? Like, if an alum works there, say, or like, what level of, I'd say, knowing that person is necessary before you do an informational interview? Like, how should you approach it?
So, if you're targeting a company that doesn't necessarily have an opening right now, I would send an email to the head of product and say, What I'm really interested, I don't know what you're interested, I'm really interested in your product. I'm really interested in learning more about your company and maybe having it, maybe targeting your company as my next move. And I'd really like to connect with you to learn more about you and your team. That could be a little strong, but it's kind of a way of saying, I'm doing some research. I'm interested in you. If they're interested in you, they might grant you an informational interview.
So when you say that targeting, say, a product manager who's been working for 2-3 years is more approachable than, say, head of product?
They're not a hiring manager. If you just want to know about the culture and about you would target them. If you really want a job, I would target who you think is going to be the hiring manager.
Yes, but you said that only 10% of the jobs are posted anyway. 50% are through referral.
No. 10% of people are hired by submitting a resume blindly to a job posting.
Okay. So is it okay to cold call there, or do we always have to have a connection or like a common group, university, things like that?
I'm just giving you the probability is higher if you go in through a connection. 55% compared to 10%.
Okay.
Right.
No, I
35% the recruiter reached out to you.
I think she's asking a different question about how to make an informational interview happen.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm asking not about the job interview invite. I'm asking about the informational interview. So suppose if this person is in this firm and he's doing something I want to be doing it. It's like my dream role.
Sure.
But I don't know that person. So is it okay to cold call?
Yes. I think it's almost as if you were applying for a job. You want to get somebody to introduce you. So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of setting up informational interviews. Like, hey Jeff, Sarah's really interested in this company. Or she's really interested in knowing what a solutions manager does. Or she's really interested in what does he do? He does solutions engineer, sales engineer. She wants to know what a sales engineer does. Maybe not even his company, just what the job is. Or they really want to know about your company. Would you spend 10 minutes? Would you go? So find someone to do the ask for you. That's the best way, right? Who do you know in that company that can do the ask for you?
Just to answer that, I think, like, at the end of the day, though, I think people are just people, and I think people will be willing to help. Like, it just depends on the person.
People love to help.
Yeah, so,
almost
like,
always.
Just as a note, I've just started, I'm still at the job that I basically started at, so like I haven't been looking, I don't really plan on being looking, but like I am at a point in my product role where there's very little new like exciting brain. There's no new techniques for me in the team that I'm in, just because I've been there for so long, and I connect with everybody on LinkedIn who has a cool job. That's literally why I got it. And it's so easy to actually just like everybody, like I get so many messages from someone that seems like they have a much higher role than me, and they ping me back and they're just sort of like looking at my resume. You can kind of tell by like my profile that I'm not looking, and they'll actually be the ones to reach out frequently. Like I'm not even being particularly aggressive at like, hey, I'm really interested in your job. I want to find out what you do and just figure out how you work and what it is you know.
What's your job? I'm interested now.
I'm the head manager.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a cool job. I'm gonna just quickly go, I think we talked about most of these. Anything there we didn't talk about that you're interested in?
I have a question about privacy, or
yeah,
privacy settings for these different things. What should be public and what can we keep private? Like, did you say that recruiters can see everything, even if we make it private?
No, I'm saying that they can see, I think they can see you. They don't have to be connected to you to see you. I think they can pay to see everybody in the network. They might not be able to, I mean, go look at the privacy settings. I really don't know them that well as far as can you say, I think you can say I don't want to be contacted.
Say exactly which sections you want to be public and versus just your connections.
Sure.
So how much of this has to be public?
How much do you want to be seen, right?
Maybe the question is, how many of those points do you need to have be transparent for you as a recruiter to be interested enough to contact her? And
Well, I'd want to know your education. I want to know your job history. I don't care about groups. You know, your skills is your metadata, right? I don't care about your connections.
So for job history, they have the titles versus the descriptions. You can choose which one or both, I think. Do you guys need to see all of the details or just the titles?
Well, if you're not sending me, are you sending me a resume?
No, it's just whatever is your public
profile. This is basically your resume. This is your online resume to a recruiter. So what do you want them to see?
How important is a photo?
Very.
Critical.
Very important.
What kind of search, so you talked about the search, are you guys just doing like the premium routes and then using the advanced search features, or like how does that?
Recruiters actually, the difference between I think the recruiter sees more, but they also can like create folders and they can email I can go through, I used to have the recruiter, I don't right now, but they could go through and select 20 people and email all 20 in one time as opposed to,
But in terms of like the filters that you have used, like I'm just kind of curious.
The only different
SEO value,
filter, I could search actually by MBA as opposed to, they had a little more granular in the education, a little more granular, I think, on citizenship.
But for I guess a particular role, how often do you use like keywords, and how important are they to have multiple times on a LinkedIn profile?
Boy, I'm not an expert in LinkedIn search tool.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm searching, it's usually product manager in the title, whatever the keyword is in the description, SaaS, enterprise, I might have SaaS, enterprise finance, it's 3 keywords. And then location, general, New York Metro or Atlanta Metro or San Jose, whatever. So that will be my start.
So a good way to find the job they really wanted would be to find a job description for a similar job, look at what keywords that you think a recruiter would pull out of them, even if they don't know the particulars, but they'd be able to pull out the big parts of it, like agile or whatever, and then place that into your own profile.
If it's true.
Yeah, it is true.
I have to assume it's true.
Those keywords are you're distilling out of the job description, or is it like you're interviewing the client?
Either the job description or the job that you're going for.
I meant for you as a recruiter.
Oh.
Are you pulling those out of the job description, or is it from an interview with the actual hiring authority?
Could be both.
Or client?
Could be both.
And are you tailoring? Are you writing the job description with them, or?
Usually,
or are you just
usually
kind
I'm
of saying,
taking
hey, here's a
theirs.
good word? You're just kind of, is it more of a subjective
Usually I'm
process?
modifying theirs a little bit down to just I usually say, what are the top 3 things that the person needs to know and what their top thing we're gonna do? And I kind of start there.
2 questions.
I
One,
want to put this up so you guys can write it down if you want. Pam tried to pull this up earlier, and I think I got cut off. But this is a survey that we did of challenges in product management. So if you want to write that down, I'll add it.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
How important are those endorsements that people will give you an endorsement for SADLC?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I think it's kind of almost like
Those are recommendations.
Recommendation. We talked about-
Endorsements is like when you list a skill and then somebody clicks
these are a
yes.
waste of time.
Yeah, it was like.
They drive me crazy.
Next question.
But thank you for giving them to me.
How valuable is the premium subscription versus just the?
Well, it's important to
As
me.
a job seeker? As a job seeker.
I like the 30 in-mails a month. I use those
Really?
to reach out. No, I'm in sort of a sales support capacity.
But do you find people that you're hiring are like
don't fire
connecting with our LinkedIn Premium, and does that help? Does that facilitate in any way you finding them? So it's not really critical for a job.
I think if you want the in-mails, you get the premium.
You mentioned location. When you're looking for applicants, so let's say you're looking for someone in New York, but you find a qualified candidate in Los Angeles. Do you think it's helpful to write like in the profile, like willing to relocate or open?
Sure.
Is that something that's if you had 2 basically equivalent applicants from New York, Los Angeles, jobs in New York, would you just cross off the Los Angeles-based one because
I wouldn't. The client might.
Okay.
The hiring manager. And by the way, if you're living in Los Angeles and you want to work in Atlanta, change your profile to say Atlanta because Talio or some of those software screening things will screen you out if you're not in that area.
I had a question about like job history and education. So I switched career paths at some point, and so my previous job history and education tends to cause more questions than like answers.
Did you go into ed tech?
No, I was an artist, and then I went to product management. Wow. And
okay.
So it's just very different, and it seems to cause complications. Like I think a couple of people are like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure?"
So how are you using your summary? Because that's where you tell the story about why you got passionate about product management. That's where you tell your story. It's like, I used to draw and I got, tell me your story. What's the story? Why did you go into product management?
Honestly, I just fell into it and I ended up liking it.
That's not a good one.
I can try to make
How many
it prettier.
people fell into product management? Fell. How many people tumbled?
Yeah. No, I had a.
But the summary is where you would tell pretend
Yeah.
I'm the hiring manager. It's like, I love creating things. I love solving problems. What is it about product management that makes you passionate? Yeah.
I just hired an associate product manager who has a PhD in biology. And that was a concern for my team. We do, I had my team interviewer as well. And I went in, I did a screening with her, but the final interview, she had a really compelling transition story of why she made that and what appealed to her, and that it was calculated, and there was some thought behind it. So it wasn't random. It wasn't, this is just something to pay the bills. It was actually, there was intent, and she kind of painted that picture of the path she took into product management. So it was really, it was believable. She got in, she was writing a paper or thesis and worked with Big Pharma, and there was the business side, and she liked the business side of things. It was a little bit more fast-paced and blah, 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 and she painted the picture and it made sense. It mitigated all my fears about that.
Awesome. You guys want some books?
Yeah.
Sure. Robert, would you like to be a phenomenal product manager, an expert product management, 42 rules of product management, or 42 rules of product marketing?
Phenomenal.
Not everybody wants to be phenomenal.
Diana Quash. 42 rules of product marketing, product management, expert product management, or phenomenal product management? And you know what, guys? If you connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll send you a PDF of the phenomenal book. Because it is a phenomenal book. Okay, Shruti.
I'll take the product marketing one.
Product marketing, thank you, Diana. Ooh, Sonic Clear. My teeth feel better already. Alan?
Yeah.
Is that dental stuff? What is Sonic Clear?
No, it's not that company. We make software for video and audio recording. Government needs. Okay.
And last but not least, Zephyr. 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 What is a Zephyr?
There's a couple of us in here.
Ariel?
Yep.
What does Zephyr do?
We do rights management, we do advertising and social media.
Okay. All right, I got that on point. So, more questions. Let's keep going until they kick us out.
I got one last question is, I'm wondering, what do you recommend on LinkedIn for breaks you've had, let's say, longer than 6 months? Because, like, I got a job right now that I currently have.
What's the story you're going to tell me?
I basically wrote a book.
You what?
I wrote a book. I spent 2 years writing a book, but I noticed.
On what?
Completely irrelevant, just fiction. Irrelevant to product development. So what I found is the reason I'm asking this question, I found two things happen. Sometimes people see that as a real liability. Sometimes people see it as a real asset because like this guy does things other than.
I'm gonna put this hiring manager in the back of the room on the spot. What do you see? What do you think when you see a gap in work? He went off and wrote a novel.
And do you put it in your LinkedIn profile too? Do you call it out?
Oh yeah. Although I'm gonna ask you.
And maybe back to the other woman's question as well. I just feel like as product management leaders, we want a diversity of people. People that do interesting things. We don't just want people that want to have. It's fine with me if people don't just have one path. I mean, I want them to be focused on product management, but if they've got other stuff in their background, I think they just contribute.
Yeah, but go ahead and tell me what you did during the break.
Maybe this is a symptom of my company's human resources department, but we'll post a job, let's say for a developer, and it lists about 10 skills. Certain amount of experience for each skill. We get a guy in or a gal, they might have 2 of them, and we're like, you're hired. So when I'm looking for a job, even if it's passively, I never stretch. I'm always afraid, I don't have that, I don't have that, I don't have that. Is it okay to just go out there and post your resume or submit yourself for a job that you feel completely unqualified
not submit your resume.
Oh, connect with someone.
There you go.
Is it okay to connect with someone, have them submit my resume for a job that I am completely unqualified for?
Well, why do you want it? Because you're passionate about something. There's something about it.
I'm saying just driven by money.
No.
I want that job. It's senior director. It's a large company.
You got to convince me why.
I love this company. I want to work. Say I want to work for Tesla. I want to work for Amgen. I want to work for these big, awesome organizations. But I can't find the right job. They're asking for Amgen, for example, asking for pharmaceutical experience every time. I have 0.
You take drugs?
Should I care?
California, we don't have.
So anyway, I don't know. I feel intimidated. Yet coming across my company, I see people getting hired that are completely unqualified for jobs. So.
I would encourage you to stretch and
Marketing, they call
be
it
ready to
buffering.
back up why you think you could do it.
Get to know people.
With one more. Go if you need to go. Oh,
No, I was
we
gonna
done?
wrap up,
Do you,
Do you find as a recruiter that a lot of companies add more than they actually really need?
All the time.
So stretch.
Stretch.
That's why I say, give me the top 3.
Vice president.
What?
Going for a VP.
Okay. Any other questions? You guys have been awesome. You made this so easy. Thank you.